and me, Gabriela Čepeliauskaitė, an NCP for ERC in Lithuania. And just very shortly to remind you what's on today's agenda. So first of all, we will introduce you with the support schemes in each country which you could use while preparing, for your ERC application. Then we will move to the first part, which will be like an overview of ERC Consolidator Grants. So that's she will present you this, and this will be followed up by a discussion with ERC Consolidator Grant winners in Baltic states. So we have Professor Inta Mierina from the University of Latvia and Professor Kaspar Valgapė from the University of Tartu. Then we will move to the second part, which will be dedicated to the ERC evaluation process. And Kristen will introduce you theoretically how it looks like. And then we will have a discussion with ERC Consolidator Grant panel members. So it's a pleasure today to have Professor Alvis Brasma, Visitor Emeritus at European Molecular Biology Laboratory at the European Bioinformatics Institute, and Professor Ruud Binnert Halbersma, Professor Emeritus at Leiden University. So it's a pleasure to have you all here today with us. And of course, we will close our event by a closing remarks. So just very shortly information about our rules. So as you see, this event won't be recorded today, but you will receive, as always, the slides after. We kindly ask you to keep your microphones and cameras off while not speaking to respect our speakers. And we would like to encourage you to use such an opportunity today to ask some questions, for panel members and ERC grantees, and to do so, you can use Slido, and here you can see the code, and my colleague will also share it in the chat. And yeah, be brave, be ambitious, and use this opportunity. So I would like to invite colleague Kristen to share what we have to support you in Estonia.
So a very warm welcome to everybody joining from Estonia. And very briefly, I would like to introduce what support schemes we do have at the Estonian Research Council for ERC applicants. We, of course, provide you, like any other Horizon Europe applicant, with all the information, and we organize events like this one, or the conference that that many of you probably attended in June. But we also have specific funding schemes to support applicants. And I would like to mention briefly these funding schemes. We participate in the mentoring initiative started by the ERC, and you can use the mentors for proposal review before submission or for preparing for your interview. And also, if you are very close to getting the ERC grant, but not quite not quite finally successful, you get a score A in the step 2 of ERC evaluation. Estonian Research Council will award you with a bridging grant to help you continue your research at your Estonian institution and to resubmit your ERC application. In case of any questions regarding ERC or any questions regarding our support measures, please don't hesitate to contact me, and I will be very happy to assist you. Thank you, Gabriela.
Yes, and that's it, please.
Yes. Hello, everyone, dear participants from Latvia. In Latvia, we also have main national contact point functions we are providing in Latvian Council of Science, and also we have several support schemes for applicants, ERC applicants. The one is also for the ones who are almost there, similar like in Estonia. For the ones who have received unfunded aid, you can get a grant to get your project proposal better for the next year call. And also we have an event calendar and different materials prepared in our website. Feel free to use them. And if you have any questions, feel free also to contact me with any question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dace. And in Lithuania, we have several initiatives. So I'm very happy to say that we start ERC mentoring initiative here. And the first call will be on January 2026. And you will receive firsthand information about how to apply next month, in the beginning of next month. So this mentoring initiative is everywhere. It is a support for you to receive like expert guidance and individual consultations while preparing your proposal, like to get a review, or to have, you know, these people participating in your mock interview. So for review, applications will be accepted once per quarter during the first 10 working days. And for mock interview, it will remain open like constantly. And another opportunity, as you probably all know, is transfer funds. So we are also happy that it remains for 2026, 2027. And what does it mean to our applicants? If you receive at step 2 unfunded A, that means that you can get funded by a national fund. So for this, we have 5 million in total. So as you might know that we share this amount together with Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions, but the priority is given to ERC. So all the best luck, and please use everything we can give to you while during your preparation. And of course, we would be very happy once you receive our slides of the event that you would spend 1 or few minutes to complete like a feedback form about this event. Just we would know, you know, what we could do better in the future. So thank you very much for this. And now I would like to invite colleague Dace to give a first presentation. That means an overview of ERC Consolidator Grant. So Dace, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you so much, Gabriela. I hope that everything will work now properly. Do you see the presentation?
Perfect. It works very well.
Good. Hello, dear participants, and thank you for joining us today. And as planned, I will give you an overview of ERC and especially ERC Consolidator Grants. It works smoothly. The presentation will be structured in 4 steps. First, I will provide an overview of ERC. Second, I will give you more detailed information about the eligibility criteria. Third, we will look at the submission and evaluation process. And finally, we will share some tips and tricks with you. To understand where to find the information about the ERC within the overall Horizon Europe structure, here is an overview of the Horizon Europe. And if you are interested in learning more about the ERC, you should know that it is located under the Pillar 1, Excellent Science. The ERC budget in Horizon Europe is more than 16 billion euros, representing 17% of the entire Horizon Europe budget. In 2025, it is planned to award more than 1,360 grants. When preparing any ERC project proposal, it is essential to keep in mind that the project's excellence is the sole evaluation criteria assessed on 2 levels. The excellence of the project idea itself and the excellence of the principal investigator PI. The evaluation considers whether the project is innovative, ambitious, yet realistically also achievable, and it also assesses whether the principal investigator can demonstrate in their CV an independent ability to carry out such an ambitious project. Yes, why apply for ERC grant? So there are several reasons to do so. For example, ERC grants provide independence, recognition, and visibility. Within this grant, you can work on a topic of your own choice, as ERC funding follows a bottom-up approach, and you can do so with research, also with your research team of your own choice. You can go with it, and if you receive ERC grant, you also gain financial autonomy for the next 5 years. Negotiating the best possible conditions with your host institution is also an option when you have this grant, and these grants are portable, meaning that you can move your with your grant to any institution in Europe if desired so. And of course, receiving an ERC grant is a major recognition and a mark of excellence that can help attract additional funding. To better understand with which of the ERC grants you may be eligible to apply, here is a very brief summary of ERC grant funding schemes set out in ERC Work Program 2026. Depending on when you obtain your PhD and how strong your research achievements have been in the recent years, you may be eligible for different types of grants. And today we are focusing more on the ERC Consolidator Grants. But in short, starting grant is for early career researcher who recently obtained a PhD degree. Can get up to 1.5 million euros for up to 5 years. Consolidator grant is for researchers consolidating their independent careers, and up to 2 million, and for up to 5 years can be received. ERC Advanced Grant is for already established research leaders, and up to 2.5 million can be awarded for up to 5 years. Advanced Grant is on have a lump sum approach. ERC Synergy grants is a different one from the other ones in the way that it is for 2 to 4 principal investigators and also for up to 6 years. It can be longer than other these grants. And ERC proof of concept is for ERC grant holders to help bridge the gap between their research and marketable innovation. And in the next work program, there will be also a new grant type, but it's still to be confirmed when the next work program will be published. And yes, there's also a pro rata temporis method used for projects of shorter duration, and that means that the maximum amount of grant decreases in proportion to the duration of the project. In the project, you may also request additional costs, such as relocation expenses, costs to ensure access to large facilities or laboratories, as well as field work and similar costs. And these costs vary depending on where you are based before receiving the grant. More about ERC Consolidator Grants eligibility. So before you start preparing your project application, please make sure that you are eligible to participate in the ERC Consolidator Grant. In the reference date for calculating the eligibility window is 1st January of the call year. This means that if you want to participate in the currently open ERC Consolidator Grant, your PhD defense date should be between 1st January 2014 and 31st December 2018. And some extension of the eligibility windows are possible for documented cases. And also resubmission restrictions also need to be taken into account if you have previously applied for ERC call. These depend on the evaluation you received previously. So you can read about each category evaluation you received, like what are the rules in the work program when you can apply next. And when applying for the ERC grant, you need to plan ahead so that your time commitment to the project is at least 40% dedicated to your project, and at least 50% of that is in EU member state or associated country. Yes, as I already mentioned, there are possible extensions of the eligibility window for documented situations and occurring before the call deadline. Examples include maternity leave, paternity leave or paternal leave, long-term illnesses or national service, different disabilities and clinical trainings also are also taken into account, as well as major disasters and cases involving asylum seekers or victims of any kind of violence. Since the ERC Work Program 2023, there is a new PhD eligibility reference date rule, which states that the reference date for calculating the eligibility period shall be the certified date of the successful defense. This allows the eligibility window to reflect the actual academic age instead of the administrative age of the PA. If for some reason PhD certificate does not show the defense date, then the candidate has to ask for the written confirmation from the awarding institution. Yes, no, not in this year's call, but the ERC work program 2027, which will be published next year, envisages several changes. For example, a widening of the eligibility this period for starting grant and consolidator grants. The presentation will be available also to you in a few days' time when we will send it, and then you can click also on the links. But here you can find the background information and the rationale for these changes. For example, starting grant applicants will be eligible to apply immediately after successfully defending their PhD, and at any time within the following 10 years. For consolidator grant applicants, eligibility will be between 5 and 15 years after defending their PhD. And yes, and researchers will be awarded no more than one starting grant and one consolidator grant during their career. Here you can see that the researchers tend to wait until the very last moment to apply for these grants, but I can assure you that this higher academic age does not necessarily help in receiving the grant, because as you can see here, more than a higher academic age, it helps if you try more than once. Here you can see that the success rate in the evaluation of step 2 is not always highest for those who wait until the very last moment to apply. More often the success rate is highest for those who learned from their previous experience and reapply for the grant. So success sometimes is just be stubborn and keep trying again and again sometimes. Yes. As you may know, this call that is open right now, Consolidator Grant, was open on 25th of September this year and will close on 30 January 2026. Around the end of the next year, we will know the final results of this call and who have received this grant. And after that, it is planned that grant agreements will be signed around mid-spring 2027. So as I mentioned, you really need to plan ahead your works and commitments. But if you will do when you receive the grant. More about submission and evaluation process. There were some changes in the ERC work program 2026, and the overall structures for the currently open ERC Consolidator Grant is as follows. Part A is administrative form, including the budget. Part B of the scientific proposal is 5 pages, where you cover the overall idea and the strategy of your search. You also include your CV and track record, which can be up to 4 pages. Part B2 of the scientific proposal is 7 pages, where you explain in more detail the implementation and methodology of your research. You also need your host institution support letter, and of course your PhD certificate and annexes if needed. First and foremost, applicants will be assessed on the ambition of their idea in advancing present-day knowledge. Of course, the applicant's intellectual capacity, creativity, and commitment will also be evaluated. As I mentioned before, not only the excellence of the idea will be assessed, but also of the applicant, also the applicant's excellency, and therefore make sure that your CV and track record is updated and well structured, and really work on that. And clearly show evaluators how you will advance your knowledge, and also provide also examples of peer recognition and contributions to the research community. Yes, and there are a few things, a few more things that need to be taken into account. Also, for example, the budget is distributed among scientific panels as a function of demand, so the success rate is roughly equal across panels. Also, publication record is not decisive in the selection decisions. The host institution is not an evaluation criterion. And also proposals shorter than 5 years are also welcome, but then yes, the budget will decrease accordingly to the time proposed in proposal. And in ERC there are no consortia, so please do not include unnecessary partners or collaborators. Yes. When preparing your proposal, there are some things that need to be remembered. For example, in step 1, panel members see only the part B1 of your proposal and your CV and track record. So prepare these sections accordingly and with all the knowledge that you have, how to give you an idea about your how to explain best your idea for a generalist of this field. And if you advance to the step 2, your proposal is evaluated in full, and evaluators examine it in more detail, not only focusing on the idea. So first part is more about the idea, and is this a great idea that would be worth pursuing? And yes, and in the step 2, they are more evaluating, can the idea be implemented realistically? Yes. Yes, so when your proposal is well written, and both your idea and yourself have already been evaluated to a certain level of excellence, you need to start preparing for an interview if you are invited. And regarding the interview, there are several main points I wanted to highlight. First, have clear and representative slides and focus on the science. Don't try to make it a business pitch, because it will be scientists who will they're listening to you and asking you questions. Engage the panel with your ideas and proposal, and anticipate the questions and know the details of your proposal. And last but not least, practice makes perfect. So rehearse many times before the real interview with the interview typically lasts 5 to 10 minutes, and followed by 15 to 20-minute questions and tips and tricks. The last part. I hope that you receive the key messages from this short presentation. And the first one is, please don't exclude yourself from participating in ERC calls, because you are really worth them. And also, yes, think big, take risks, and if you fail, try again. And the last one, main tips but no tricks, sorry. Just consult the call documents, register early, get everything ready, and if you have any questions, just ask your NCP. Yes. Thank you, Aita. Paldies, at you.
So thank you very much, Dats, for your clear overview of the ERC Consolidator Grants, and for, can you move your microphone? Somebody, please. Now it seems.
We don't hear you, Gabriele. We don't hear you, please.
Okay. Yes. No, it's all right. Yeah, so thank you very much, Datsa, for your overview and for setting the stage for our first discussion with our ERC Consolidator Grant winners. So I'm more than happy to present our first guest. So it is Professor Inta Mierina from University of Latvia, and she is a leading sociologist and one of the most prominent scholars in migration and diaspora studies in Baltic region. Professor Mierina is the director of the Center for Diaspora and Migration Research, and she received her ERC grant in 2024 for her project called WISE, Welcoming Immigrants in Central and Eastern Europe, Lessons from Russia's Invasion of Ukraine. Professor, welcome to our event. Are you here with us?
Yes. Hello. I really have to apologize that the first few minutes I will be without a video, because I'm in the midst of going through the security controls at the airport. But I really wanted to participate in this event because I think it's so important to have some, as the previous speaker mentioned, tips and tricks, and to share the experience, just to encourage people to apply, because this is an amazing opportunity, and I'm really happy to be a part of this event, and maybe share some of my knowledge as well that I've acquired over the years, because for me, this is not a success for the first time. It was the fourth attempt. So it really involved a lot of work, a lot of learning, a lot of mistakes, and then finally success. So yeah, really happy to be here with you today. But yeah, really, like the first few minutes, I'll be maybe a little bit, off the video. So sorry for that.
It's okay. Yeah, we are very happy to have you here, Professor Mierina. And now I would like to present our second ERC Consolidator Grant holder, Professor Kaspar Valgapea from Institute of Bioengineering in University of Tartu, Estonia. And Professor Valgapea received his Consolidator Grant in 2023, and he is a leader in the field of synthetic biology and microbial engineering. And he received this grant for his project Genesis, Next Generation Engineering of Gas Fermenting Cell Factories through Large-Scale System-Level Maps. So welcome, Professor. Are you here?
Hello. Yes, I'm here. Thank you for the introduction.
Yes,
thank you for the invite to participate.
So thank you very much for coming. And so we can start our discussion with a very general and indeed question. And I would like to ask you both, Inta and Kaspar, to tell us a little more about your ERC journey, and how it affected your career, just for a beginning, just a few sentences. So who would like to start? Maybe we can start with Professor Valgapea.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, if that's fine with the Inta, I can go first, then maybe we go interlapping, you go next time first. I applied the first time and I got it on the first time, and it was the first year of the Consolidator window. So that is a good example of no need to wait for, I don't know, having a longer track record. The reason I did it like this, or ended up doing like this, was actually because I wanted to also apply for the starting grant in the last years, but then it was the pandemic and it was too much fun homeschooling kids, so I just couldn't do it. It was impossible. I gave up after trying to write a few days, and then when the pandemic passed, then I had to go for the ERC Consolidator already because of the timelines. And for me, the writing itself, in terms of the big journey, maybe general comment would be also keep in mind that for me someone seems to be
Please keep your microphones muted.
Yeah.
I'll try to maybe then speak louder. Okay. So what I was saying is, yes, please also keep in mind that this would be, at least it was for me, probably one of the most enjoyable times in my life in writing science, because I could really dream crazy and write something really detailed about what I would like to do. So it's not just really hard work and all this stress of writing and ticking all the boxes, but that was also good fun. So the journey for me was of course, it was stressful in terms of getting everything together, all these rounds of reviews with colleagues and mentors, but in the end, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much, Professor. So this is a good example how not to be scared of Consolidator grants, what usually happens, everyone wants to try, starting, but sometimes it happens. So thank you very much, Professor, for this. And just one question, did you receive any support, from your university or from national contact points, during the preparation?
Yes, from both actually, and I think the help was, very important, because some of the things I had written some grants before, but every grant has its own peculiarities, and I didn't know some of them, and I got excellent support from the local grant writing office here in the University of Tartu, and also from the NCP through a local scheme we have to visit grantees abroad, and also to be able to meet up with a mentor externally who has been a previous grantee or a panel member. So I think you should use any help you can, because the competition is tough, and you really need to make the maximum effort to succeed.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. So those who does not know, so please take this example from Professor Valgapea and ask for support, for help from national contact points, from your local research administrators at your university. They are here to support you all the time. And now I can see Professor Inta Mierina. We can see you very well. So can you tell us about your journey and how it happened, till you succeeded?
Right. So in my case, what really played to my favor was that I I used to work as a postdoctoral researcher for an ERC grant. So basically, by doing so, it also gave me more information about how an ERC grant should look like, what kind of activities it can involve, that it can have an advisory board, what kind of team it can involve, what kind of fieldwork and activities and all that, which is the knowledge that I think many people might not have who haven't really encountered these kind of grants, right? Like, can you have a team? Don't you have a team? Like all these kind of questions, right? The other thing is that I used to work as a European Commission evaluation expert. So even though it's not like an ERC grant, but still these Horizon grant basically gives you like more or less an idea how a good quality grant should look like. So what you can do, anybody and everybody can apply and become an expert, an evaluation expert on the participant portal. But again, you have to be a little careful with this because even though in a way it helped me, but on the other hand, it also misguided me a little bit because like the structure of the proposal is different. And sort of for example, in an ERC, you don't need to have like it's really about excellence, right? So you don't need to elaborate on the societal impact, on how the project, like the management structures or like anything related, like communication. I mean, that is an asset if you have some societal impact, but it's not the main point. And I know that I elaborated maybe too much on this. I would have done it differently now if I applied. So another thing is that my university paid for, like this was the first time last year, was the first time when my university paid for consultants. So I had amazing consultants. They were Dutch consultants currently residing in Australia. So they really worked with me hard, like during the time of preparing for the interview. Because the thing with me was that like all these 4 times when I applied, I got to the interview stage. And then basically in theory, that's 50% success rate. Like if you get an interview, but I was never successful. So I thought, what am I doing wrong? Like clearly I'm doing something wrong. I have good ideas, but it's just not working out. So yeah, I got these consultants and basically, we really worked for like 2 months, waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning and like connecting. And I was presenting my ideas to them. They were like giving this really critical and important feedback. Like, what is it? Like, why is it important? What is novel about it? Why do you think that nobody knows this? Like really throwing these critical questions at you. And that helped so much. And really, at the time when I was presenting, I really felt like I had, they had an answer to any possible question. And one of the reasons was also that I was doing mock interviews. I was doing mock interviews with many, well, that's a long story. Maybe I'll share it in some other time. But basically, what also helped was that I asked for advice to 2 previous grantees, including Anders Stambajanis and including Data Dinovska. And they also shared some tips. They also looked through my proposals and also identified maybe some things that I could improve. So that was important, right? And really, like one of the most crucial parts was the mock interviews and like there was rounds and rounds of presenting my research to a critical audience and preparing this like long list of any possible question that might come up and with a really clear answer that I can say.
Mm-hmm. So thank you very much, Professor Mierina, for this very inspiring indeed introduction about you and how did you prepare for your ERC proposal and indeed for interviews. And now I would like to start indeed with the first question, like for icebreaker. We have received many of those, from our registration form from current participants of the event. And in the beginning, I just would like to remind everyone, just please use Slido, use this opportunity. We have several questions, but we can have some more. So the first question, everything starts with the motivation. And, in Baltic regions, ERC applications still require a lot of courage, a lot of confidence, and many excellent scientists, indeed, they hesitate, thinking that they are not good, maybe enough. So, the question would be, what motivated you personally to apply for this grant? And was there a specific moment or factor that maybe made you decide to take the step? So who would like to start?
Well, I will maybe start. I'm sitting right now. So to me, that was something that I had an eye on since the time when I worked as a postdoc in this other ERC grant in Warsaw, led by Natalia Letki, because it really showed what an excellent opportunity there is. I mean, this is really the chance for you to focus fully on this one idea of yours, on this research of yours, to fulfill your ambitions. And as a researcher, I mean, there's no better opportunity, I think. And yeah, and the funding is good for what we do. And you can also have a small team. And so, like, the thing is that with the Baltic countries, as you all know, oftentimes we are just torn between like many different projects, many different applications. We barely have any time to really focus on one thing. But here you can really focus on that thing for 5 years and just do really excellent research. And yeah, so I mean, it's a no-brainer for me that this was my goal, and that's why I tried so hard for 10 years to finally make it happen. Yeah.
Perfect. And what about Professor Valgapē?
Yes, so for me, I was, when I returned to Estonia, I was, from my postdoc, I started my lab here as an ERA chair holder with another European Union grant scheme. And that made it possible for me to start up a group with the size up to, close to 10 people. And technically, the only way how to keep this same size, same level of science, same scope was actually the ERC. Compared to, of course, I applied, to quite a few grants in those last years to secure future funding. But ideally, you get one big one and you can focus rather than you dilute yourself with adminning and managing 5 projects. So this was a very practical motivation for me to keep the same level and the group and maintain the excellent people I have and all the work we've done. And I think one thing to point out was that this courage thing, I think you can take me as an example. If you look at my track record, I didn't have any nature papers, any science papers at that moment. Actually, even some of the crucial papers for the proposal background methodology, I had in bioarchives. So to me, this was the fairest review I can imagine in terms of reviewing a proposal, where actually the work was literally, at least in my opinion, looked in detail as work it is, rather than who is it, where this person published, what country is this person from. So I think it's a very tough review, but it's very fair. I had 9 reviewers, so which I've never seen in any peer review before. I think you should definitely not be discouraged by your track record or your, as far as I understood, the majority of the key is in the idea. If you have a crazy, cool, bold enough idea, you should go for it. But keep in mind, if you want to go for it, my suggestion is to make sure you can commit the time. Otherwise, it will be just stressful for you if you want to make a good effort, and if you don't make the maximum effort, unlikely you're going to get it. So commitment, I think, is important. I've seen quite a few people start a few months before, and I think I would not recommend to do that.
Yeah. So thank you very much. And everything we heard from Professor Valgapē and Professor Mierina shows the main benefit of the ERC grants. You can focus on your own ambitious idea. You can be surrounded by the talented team. But the thing which we also suggest to all applicants, as Professor Valgapē mentioned, start preparing earlier. Not stress yourself in the last minutes, So yeah, so this what we want to suggest everyone. And let's move, to the second question, which is quite tricky to everyone: how to balance ambition and realistic work plans. So did you find it challenging to balance these two things or not? And how did you succeed, do you think?
Yeah, so I guess this is one of the key challenges, I guess, for most of the applicants. It was also for me, because, high risk, high gain, and then you, of course, try to push in as much as possible, but at the same time, you want to also survive when you actually get the grant. So this was, I guess, unfortunately, there's no easy answer here. What is this balance? I can't quantify it like, 40-60 or something, but this is something I think you should carefully consider. I think, at least in my opinion, and maybe at least those reviewers agreed with me, I really tried to very carefully criticize my own plans and evaluate whether this is feasible to the major extent. And then according to this, of course, you have to make sure you have it aligns with the budget, the skilled staff you have or you will hire. So the balance is something not easy to guess. And I think there literally you have to, I would suggest to think through literally all the work plans, how is this going to actually work out, rather than write the proposal as an idea and then let's see how we do it when we get the grant. Because the timeline is quite, I think, tight for most of us in those grants. So I would say, as a response to this question, be very critical and fair towards your own work, and keep in mind that most likely most of the work will be done by others. So you don't want to overload other people with massive work that you dreamed up of that would be ideally done by someone. So these are my thoughts.
Thank you very much. And Professor Mierina, can you follow up?
Yes. Well, in regards to ambition, well, obviously, ERC grants are the ones where they expect excellence and they expect ambition. They expect something truly groundbreaking, new concepts, new ideas, not just some incremental addition to the field of knowledge, right? So, of course, with that comes also some risks, right? And risks are okay if you show that you'll be able to mitigate those risks, that you know what these risks are. So what I want to say is that, when thinking about ambition, be ambitious, but also think about feasibility. Like, for example, if you will envisage like large-scale research and like, I don't know, really truly groundbreaking things and really interdisciplinary, and again, the reviewer will ask like is this actually doable? Like, do you have the skills to do that? Have you ever done anything like that? Do you have like any experience with these methods or with these countries or with these like managerial experience? So basically, think about that. Think about how you show that it's both ambitious and feasible. That's the most important thing. And in terms of like over-promising, in this kind of proposal, you don't need to write like I'm going to produce five Scopus publications or something like that. That's not what you write. It's really about the idea. You don't have to say that I'm going to present in 20 conferences or something, because I know that oftentimes in the local grants, this is what we write. Here, it's not what you write. Really, the idea is what matters. The ambition, the clarity of thought, but also the feasibility. Risks are okay if you show that you know them and you address them. Thanks.
Yeah, so thank you very much for addressing these questions. And now I look at our slide of feedback from applicants, and we have one question, and indeed it was touched by Professor Valgapea. So this is about the research team. So, and the question is like, do applicants need to already have an existing research group to apply for ERC Consolidator Grant? So from your experience.
Well, sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry, Ita, your turn.
Just I'm in a little like fluid situation, so I'm always going to grab the time. I'm sorry for that. So in my case, and what I also saw in the other project, is that we had an open tender for the position. So basically, on EURAccess, we advertised the postdoctoral positions in order to get the best applicants, and that is also like a really good practice. To apply, because it's an open competition, it's fair and square, right? So in my case, because I have a 4-country case study, I needed postdocs that would lend me the expertise that I don't have. In this case, for example, the expertise in the local context of these 3 other countries and the local language of these 3 other countries. So this is what led my decision to have these postdocs, and they had a really clear role, what exactly they're going to do. So what you should be really careful about is that it's better not to involve senior researchers, because like you need to remember that you are the PI, you are the main person. So the other people will just be helping you, will be supporting you, but you are leading the research work. And the other thing that I've also noticed in some, like, because some people share their proposals with me, and that I noticed as a mistake is that you should be careful not just to not involve like senior researchers, like, because then there's going to be a question like, is this like a, because this is not a team project. This is an individual research grant. So like, even though there's a team, it's not a team project. So you need to be careful not to outsource research work, in a sense that it's not like you're just going to manage things and other people will be doing research for you. No, this is your work, and so you can't say that, you know, these other people will just be doing all the work for you. So yeah, and they have to have a really, really clear role and really like what do you need them and what exactly they're going to do.
Okay, and Casper?
Yes, as far as I understood from some years ago when I wrote the grant, I don't think there was a strict requirement to have a existing group, but so I can't comment if I would have written that I would hire all new people, how this would have been received. But my grant involved I emphasize that, for example, these positions, these skills I have in the lab, and these people are basically going to continue. And then these new skills I will acquire. I will hire people. So I think, in my sense, I think it needs to look solid, that it's doable, and you know what you're doing. You know who to hire, who to keep, and what to do. So I think. As you self-evaluate another group, if you look at the team, and then you can evaluate like any grant you evaluate.
Mm-hmm. So did you specify like the roles of your team members in your proposal? For example, part B2?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So. Clear. So yes, and so that shows how indeed strategically each PI has to rethink the project and how to put it in a very, very realistic way. So let's go to the challenges. What were the main challenges you faced when drafting and structuring your proposal?
Yeah, so maybe the main challenge was trying to. I still had this 14-page B2, so that was a bit maybe harder. I don't know, maybe easier than what you have now, but trying to cram still all this 5 years of work into that was pretty. I mean, the writing itself, I think overall it was challenging. There was not. I don't remember there was any particular step which was particularly challenging, but just literally writing up this story in as much as condensed way as possible to basically have as much information as possible is just mentally super tiring. You're just basically cramming like maybe a full paragraph if you just write like free text type of stuff into maybe one sentence, and you maybe have 5 references within one sentence, almost like a Nature type of paper compared to a regular journal paper.
Right. So for me, I would say like similar. For example, one of the mistakes that I made in one of my earlier proposals was that I had this very ambitious idea, and there was so much that I wanted to do, and I so many like different things that I wanted to include, that in the end, what you end up with is that you cannot really properly in detail describe everything sufficiently convincingly, and that is a problem, because like this insufficiently clear is almost like a mantra that many evaluation experts have. So it's better to have like a really streamlined and clear idea, sort of like, and like not to overcomplicate things. But also describe in way more detail, maybe than I did, like the exact methodology that you're going to use. Like again, maybe it links to the feasibility, what I said. So yeah, not to overcomplicate things. The other challenge maybe is like our natural Baltic shyness, and especially when we're talking about young people and women. Right, so it's like you're always like, the possible caveat and that it's not perfect and whatever. And basically, when you stand in the front of this like panel of experts, like you need to have that confidence. You need to be able to show that, I know what I'm doing. This is a great idea. This is excellent. We're really going to move mountains, whatever. I mean, this like this is something that like an internal fight that we need to win in order to maybe be more convincing. Because again, I've seen many people from Western countries, for example, being way more confident about maybe way less impressive ideas. So that's something to maybe work on.
Yeah. So thank you very much. So indeed, you have to be able to explain, your idea to the like let's say experts and to understand what you do, how you're gonna do it. So you have to be confident with this, while preparing, and also attending the interview stage. And we have a question in Slido about equipment. So maybe Kasper Valgapė would be able to somehow also share his experience if you had this. So indeed, how did you purchase your equipment, if so, and how did you justify it in your proposal, like the need and then the prices about this? Because it is possible indeed to purchase major equipment. Just now we have a requirement that it has to be in line with the project. It has to be important to the project. Yeah, so Kasper, can you a little bit elaborate on this?
Yes, but maybe just one note on the previous question to how to know that it's balanced. I think you can only trust yourself, and then the best thing you can do is to basically ask your friends and colleagues for feedback, because they are basically the analogs of the reviewers. They will tell you whether it's too skewed in one or the other direction. Because especially in this writing, when you're going hardcore, weeks, days, nights, and you're gonna get into a massive blind spot. At one point, you're losing focus. You're focusing on different things. So I think for me, it was super useful and helpful. The friends and colleagues gave feedback, and I said just destroy it, be as brutal as possible, and then I was able to just refine the ideas and work on it. So that would be my recommendation. Of course, first be careful with whom you share the proposal. But to reply to the question in hand, yes, I applied also for the major equipment, extra money, and I justified that this is needed for carrying out particular tasks. I referred to specific tasks, specific activities in the work packages, and literally, I mean, just made it clear that this 2 million is not enough. So there's an extra need, and yeah, it was that point justified. Didn't really understand the question about the purchasing. I mean, we have the tender system. Above a certain limit, you tender, you have to purchase. So this is like a typical purchasing, at least here in Tartu, nothing special to the ERC.
So thank you very much. And now you indeed touched the next question about feedback, and so about feedback from colleagues, if you did so, about feedback from a panel. So how much feedback did you receive throughout the process, and how did you decide which comments to incorporate? So maybe who would like to start? Inta, maybe you.
Yeah, so I received a lot of feedback because, as I mentioned, this is my 4th try. So yeah, the thing is that you have many, evaluators looking at your proposal, plus some external ones that I send it to. So basically on the panel, you have something like 15, 17 evaluators. And obviously everybody, like they're really like from different fields, and everybody will have different comments. So the way I approach this is that I never think about it in terms of like, oh, they're just stupid, they don't understand this idea and whatever. You just look at like, what is it that you can improve? It's understandable that the opinions will be different, but like, is there something that I can take on board? Like, for example, they mentioned that like initially, for example, among my case studies, there were only Central and Eastern European countries, and some of them, like 2 of the reviewers, they said like, why don't you have a comparative case? Like something from the Western Europe or Southern Europe. And yeah, and I thought, look, but this is actually something that I can do. So I did that, and maybe that also played a role into me finally being successful. Right. So just to like, it's important also not to take criticism too personally. So I also want to say, to add to what Kasper said earlier about this importance of feedback from your peers. One of the mistakes that I did in earlier like application rounds was that among the mock panel, I only included people that are like from my team, that are close, that I know are experts in the field, and so on and so on. And that was a big mistake, not just because your people, like your colleagues, are less likely to be truly honest and critical with you, and you need this like really, really critical feedback, but also because the panel is not going to consist of people who are experts in your field. Like I applied, for example, to a panel that is on human geography, environment, and space. So basically, many of the people on my panel, they were actually like demographers and God, not like really like people who are not really in my field, really not so close to my field. But that's why when I organized my mock panel, I tried to find people who are similar in profile to those that I expected to see on the actual panel. And this worked out perfectly, because then I realized, like, and then I actually really carefully studied the potential panel. So I was thinking, like, if I was a German demographer, what kind of questions might I have? If I was a British historian, what kind of questions I might have? Would they understand my method? Would they have like some other critical comments? And this is like so useful, because I really felt like I was prepared, and don't assume that they know things. Like in my case, I didn't have equipment, but I had subcontracting. I'm subcontracting a survey. So last year I was asked, like, why do you need subcontracting? Why can't you do these 6,000 interviews yourself? And for a sociologist, that's like a crazy question. Like, obviously you can't, but like, don't assume that they know, because they might come from a different field. So you have to be ready to answer all kind of questions, even those that you might think like it's like silly, right? So.
Yeah, thank you, Inta. You did indeed a huge work trying to analyze potential reviewers, potential panel members, and more specifically, what can you expect from them, what we expect from you. And Kaspar, what was your experience?
Yeah, as I already mentioned, I also sent out the proposal. Actually, initially, already more than a year before, I sent out a one-pager to the most, let's say, relevant friends, colleagues, to get the first feedback on the idea. Because I wasn't sure if anyone has tried that. It looked too strange that no one has come up with this, but this is something you always have this doubt. And then later, of course, with a full proposal, I sent that out, got feedback, and then also, of course, the mock interviews. I did quite a few with some of the same people, yes, I think most of the feedback I got, I remember, probably I incorporated fully or partly, or then I further try to understand maybe where this confusion or question arose from, and then I try to refine the text. So again, very important, the feedback part. I think it's pretty hard to do it all by yourself.
Well, thank you very much. So for our potential applicants, just try to get as much feedback as you can to improve your proposal, but be careful. Indeed, be careful with whom you share your proposal, that it wouldn't be like. So, and we have one question in Slido for Inta, because she mentioned that she used Euraccess platform to propose positions in her projects. And the question is, have wage differences between the Baltics and Western Europe hindered attracting candidates for postdoctoral positions advertised on Euraccess? So, Inta, can you a little bit tell us about how everything happened?
Yeah, actually, in my case, everything worked out perfectly. I was a little worried because I had heard stories from my Estonian colleagues that it's sometimes not so easy to hire international people to our region, because some people are concerned, about the geopolitics and so on. Actually, in my case, we had like 3 open positions and we got 60 applications. And I was thinking, like, who's going to come from Italy, this beautiful sunny place? And actually from Italy, we got the most and the best proposals. So yeah, really, we have a wonderful team right now, like really bright, and it's so inspirational. We have we're really on a good footing right now. So.
Perfect. So for those who do not have potential team members, so you are not sure about this, so keep in mind that you can use Euraccess and it can be helpful indeed.
Also, I'm sorry, I also want to add something. Please. I didn't just advertise on Euraccess. I also sent information out to all the relevant sectoral associations, like, for example, in my case, those are the ones like, for example, European Consortium of Political Research, European like Sociological Consortium. There's, there's IMISCO, which does research on migration specifically. So basically, I sent it out to all the possible networks, research networks that deal with this, and that regularly publish these job offers.
Okay, thank you. So everyone can use this experience also in your preparation. And we are about to finish and finalize our discussion. Sadly, we could, of course, discuss it like for hours. It can be endless discussion about preparation. But just to move to the final question, indeed, for inspiring part, what would you suggest for those who are preparing for the first ERC proposal, like for Consolidator Grant, or not the first one,
Yeah, that is a really good question. And one thing that I wanted to say as the last comment of mine, even though Kasper rightly said that it's all about the excellence, right? The excellent idea is the core of everything. And that, if you don't have like an excellent publication record yet, it's not a deal breaker. If you have this brilliant idea. At the same time, I know that because I also got to evaluate one proposal this year actually already. And basically, evaluators do look at your CV. They do look at your CV. So basically, if you're planning to apply, work on developing your CV in a way that would fit what the ERC evaluators expect. Mainly, I'm talking about things like single-authored or first-authored publications and good journals. It will not matter that you have like 20 publications in some proceedings. What they want to see is like a potential for excellence. Do you show potential for excellence? Do you have any awards? Do you have any prizes? Do you have any international stays? Do you have like any international experience at all? Do you have any managerial experience? Do you have any like what can you show that would show that would make them trust you, especially if you come from our region, from our universities, which don't maybe have the heaviest the most like strongest reputation. So you need to show that potential for excellence in different ways through the things that I mentioned, and think about it really carefully and develop your CV the way you develop your proposal itself. Thanks.
Thank you very much. And Professor Valgapää?
Yeah, I would advise to start early so that you can actually slowly refine your ideas over time. You could and when I did that, I still had this really intense. I made like a writing camp to myself when I was literally 1 week away from my family all the life, where I wrote basically, I think, most of it. But this was only possible because I've done all that, let's say, homework or pre-work already before in the previous months, and just juggling around with the ideas, writing down notes, working on the structure. So I think it would be good to start early. So as I said, I sent out the first pager, I think more than a year before actually I wrote the full thing.
Okay, so thank you very much, both Professor Inta Mierina and Professor Kasper Valgapää, for sharing your honest experiences and reflections, for sharing your inspiring ERC journeys with us. And indeed, your examples, they show that ERC success is possible, especially in our regions. So thank you very much for being those examples others can follow. And now we also would like to ask you to stay until the end of our event, if it is possible. We see that Inta is at the airport, so it depends on your, how to say, circumstances.
I'm almost boarding, yeah.
Okay, and now let's move to our second part of the event. This is like mysterious evaluation process. And to begin this part, I would like to ask colleague Kristen Kraft to give us a very short presentation, how theoretically it happens. So Kristen, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Gabriela, and lots has already been said about the evaluation. So it was mentioned that the ERC evaluation really values excellence, and it is tough but fair. And also in In the answers until now and in Datz's presentation, you heard about the evaluation panels. So my indeed very short presentation will just outline the evaluation process of the ERC. And I will start by giving you the information about the panels. So the ERC uses panels for evaluation, and panels consist of eminent researchers, many of them also, as Inta hinted, former or current ERC grantees themselves. And you can see that the whole of research, the absolutely everything, has been divided up into three scientific domains: life sciences, social sciences and humanities, and physical sciences and engineering. And within these domains, the panels have been created to bring together competence in a certain smaller area, to make it also possible to compare applications to one another, and to cover everything equally, in the sense that not one panel would be totally huge and the other small. So that is an effort that is going on in the ERC continuously. There are always some changes, and the latest change was in 2024. And I have included the link here to the full descriptors of the panel structure, so you can really find out which panel is the best panel for you. Each panel has members, as I said, roughly 10 to 15 members in each panel. And these members, we will hear from some of them today after my presentation, but you can also check who were the panel members in the past. And this is very useful because we know that the panel structure operates like that the same panel, more or less, will work every second year. So knowing, for example, who were panel members in 2024 gives you a good idea of who will be in the panel in the year 2026. So it is worthwhile as an applicant to go and check the profiles, and, as Inta said, really to think how to address this your proposal to this rather wide group of specialists. Because if you think of the panels as they are, for example, the whole of mathematics is one panel, and you really understand that one, maximum two, are the specialists in your narrow field, and the others are generalists who also need to understand your proposal. This is how the evaluation process looks for starting Consolidator and Advanced Grant. For Synergy grants, it is a bit different, more complex, but the evaluation is done in a single submission, but in two steps. In step one, only the first part of your scientific proposal is looked at, the 5 pages, what is now called the scientific proposal part 1. In the past, it was called extended synopsis, and also your CV and track record will be looked at. And only panel members will read these documents in step 1. So this general group of people will assess your scientific proposal part 1 and CV. And after that, they will have a panel meeting where they will decide which ones are good enough or interesting enough to be invited to step 2, and for the rest, will they be receiving a score B or a score C. Those who are invited to step 2, they will then the full proposal will be read by both panel members and remote reviewers appointed by the ERC on suggestion from the panel members and the Scientific Council. So a large group of people will read your full proposal. In addition to panel members, the remote reviewers will now be really specialists in your narrow field. So they will read your proposal and they will give their comments, but it is the panel member, the group of panel members who will have the final say and who will decide the final ranking in this panel. And in addition to reading the full proposal, also you will have an interview. So both starting consolidator and advanced grant applicants all will have an interview. The interviews nowadays are conducted in the way that the panel is on site in Brussels in the ERC premises, but the applicants are online. So be prepared for this kind of situation. And after the interview and the discussions in the panel, the final ranking list is decided. Some projects will get a score of A. Those are the projects that fully correspond to ERC criteria of getting funded. And some projects will eventually get a score B, meaning that even if there were surplus money, they would not get funded. And then the proposals that received a score A, they will be ranked, and the best ones will get funded to the limit that there is funding available. And after all this, after the full evaluation, all applicants will receive feedback, and the feedback will include all the comments from individual reviewers as well as the joint commentary from the panel as a whole. So that was my little presentation about the evaluation process, but now the two evaluators will give you a more in-depth and personal view of how it actually works.
So thank you very much, Kristen, for your clear and informative presentation. And you indeed provided an excellent foundation for our next discussion. So it is a great privilege to me today to introduce you our first guest, Professor Alvis Brasma. He is a visitor emeritus at the European Molecular Biology Laboratory at European Bioinformatics Institute. Professor Brasma is internationally recognized as one of the pioneers of bioinformatics and systems biology in Europe. His work has been instrumental in shaping global standards for biological data sharing and analysis, enabling breakthroughs across genomics, medicine, and artificial intelligence and life sciences. So beyond his own research, Professor Brasma contributes to European research excellence as a member of ERC Evaluation Panel for Life Sciences, LS2, helping to identify and support cutting-edge scientific ideas from across the continent. So, Professor Brasma, are you here with us?
Yes, I am. Thank you very much for the introduction.
Thank you very much for being here. And it's an honor to present, of course, our second guest, Professor Ruud Bernhard Halbersma. He is emeritus at Leiden University and longtime curator at the National Museum of Antiquities in the Netherlands. Professor Halbersma is an eminent archaeologist and museum scholar whose work has illuminated the history of classical art collections and the development of European museums. As a panel member for the ERC in the Social Science and Humanities, SH5, he plays a vital role in evaluating and supporting ambitious research that bridges us history, culture, and contemporary questions of heritage and identity. So welcome, Professor, to our event, and it's very good to see you here.
Thank you.
Yeah, so to start our discussion, so let's have also a icebreaking question for you both. So a very general one indeed. Can you share a little bit about your experience as a panel members and what it indeed brought to your scientific career? What was the benefit of being an evaluator? So who would like to start? Professor
Shall I start?
Halbersma? Okay, please, go ahead.
Well, it was really a life-changing experience to be in a panel like SH5 and SH8 for me. It brought me into contact with many scholars working on very different fields in the humanities, and well, it was really an experience I would not like to have missed.
Okay.
Yes, I can second that. I think that the most important thing, really, what you get from being on the panel is that you are in touch really with the cutting edge science. You see what kind of applications are coming in, where the science is going. It's you get it better than what you get in conferences or reading papers, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. So being a panel member gives you like a privilege to know what will happen in the future science.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
that's perfect. That's amazing indeed experience. And our colleague Kristen, she presented kind of theoretical, part, of how we understand evaluation. So the first question would be like, just could you walk us through how panel members indeed typically read and assess proposals and how each of a proposal is discussed?
Yes, as has been said before, we are generalists, and there are only a few proposals that are really on your field of expertise. So you have to also be very careful in evaluating these proposals, very honest in your opinion, and also you have to look at your own limitations. And this is a very when I started, a very difficult process. I had to evaluate proposals about Chinese court literature in the 15th century AD. Well, I'm an archaeologist and specialized in Greece and Rome, so it was very far from my field. But I could. Eventually, I learned to how to assess such a proposal on feasibility, on high risk, high gain, etc., etc. So it was a pleasure to work in this field.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I wonder what I can add. So I think as it was explained, the proposals are evaluated in 2 rounds, really. So in the first round, you get quite a lot of them. Yeah. So reading every one very carefully, to be honest, it's very difficult, really. So there, what matters is that the proposal is not just well written, but it's also well formatted. So that the most important things you just notice by glancing over these proposals, that kind of forms your first opinion. And you probably first go through all the proposals in that way just to get these first opinions. Then maybe you go deeper into this. You may change your opinion, really. Yeah? You also look at the CV. In the second round, you have fewer proposals, and you already seen some of them. Yeah? And then I think you read them more carefully, and you try to really understand, or try to understand what you don't understand, where you might have questions. When it comes to the panel meeting, in my experience, every single time we all agreed, hey, let's triage the proposals in 3 groups. The ones where more or less everybody agrees this is a good proposal, if possible, we want to kind of fund it. They are the hopeless ones, to be honest, yeah. And then there are the ones which really need the in-depth discussion, yeah. In my experience, somehow without intention, these groups are about equal size usually, yeah. So then the discussion really is on this second group, on the ones where there are some divergence on the opinions, and then we kind of push them up or down, and then again we'll go through the first 2 groups. I would say the third group really we don't have time to revisit it, really, yeah. We go to the first group just to make sure that indeed we agree these are excellent, and see which ones of the second group should also be added there. And then we rank them, and then we'll see whether we need to draw the line. And then there's discussion along the line. We draw the line somewhere, and then about 3 up, 3 above line, 3 below line, and we need to figure out really how to deal with it.
Yeah, so we can just imagine how hard it is to decide on those 44 proposals which move to stage 2. So, you already touched indeed the next question, which is indeed what distinguishes a strong proposal from weaker ones. So from your experience, what distinguishes a well-prepared ERC application from an average one?
Well, a well-prepared ERC application uses very clear language and gives an excellent outline of the project. And the strong points are emphasized They are highlighted, and the chances of success and the risks are described honestly. So it's a matter of clear language, an excellent outline of the project, and it must be intelligible for the panel members.
No, I absolutely agree. I think I would say that a good proposal, you should be able to explain the main idea very clearly in about 5 sentences. Yeah, imagine that you meet somebody important in the lift and they ask you what you're doing, and in 2 minutes, while the lift is going from the downstairs to the top of the hotel, you should be able to explain it. And when you work on the proposal, think about this. Yeah, learn it by heart, really. Yeah, what are these 5 sentences which describes what is in the proposal? And a little bit, I don't know how it's in other disciplines, but in life sciences, there's a very strong emphasis on this called hypothesis-driven proposals, really. Yeah, I'm not necessarily saying that all of them should be like that, but they have better chance that you have a clear, testable hypothesis. And the biggest mistake is to present as hypothesis something which actually is not testable. That's the biggest mistake.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. And talking about, for example, interdisciplinary proposals, how you discuss such proposals and make the final decision, the final score from your panels, what happens in life sciences and, for example, in social sciences, because we understand that, like proposals which go to single, like single panels, so it's easier a bit to understand, but when it covers, not like one domain or two, so it's even harder. So can you a little bit elaborate on this question?
Yes, I think interdisciplinarity is a very positive aspect of a project, especially when it leads to experts from different countries working together. And we have the lone wolves in our trade, the people who are working on a subject do it all by themselves and don't look out to other possibilities of attracting other scholars into their field. But well, if you have a project team which consists of many different scholars, specialists on different fields, also including rocket science, please do so, because it's innovative, and it will open new avenues to reach this level of excellence.
Yeah, I would like to emphasize that submit only to one panel, regardless of how interdisciplinary it is, and think about which of the panels would be the most favorable to this. Panels are open-minded; they like interdisciplinarity, but if you submit to a panel which would like this, and then to another panel which perhaps would not like it, yeah, you only lose from that. Yeah, think which panel is the one which is the closest to your interdisciplinary idea.
Yeah, and usually, indeed, the success rate of interdisciplinary proposals is lower. So this thing you have to consider. And indeed, talking about ambitious of proposals, like groundbreaking nature, we received a question from one participant that that would you agree that successful ERC proposals are often not just radically new, but extremely well thought through and methodologically solid? So can you comment on this from your experience?
Yes, could you rephrase the question a little bit?
Yeah, so that sometimes, like proposals, ERC proposals which win, they are not so radically new. Indeed, in the field. So it's more like methodologically solid, so how, from your experience, how did you?
I think they have to have both items on board. They have to be new, innovative, etc., but they have to be they have to tick all the boxes used by the ERC to evaluate the process and the proposal. So I think it's an and. It's not the one and not the other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say in my experience, and the person who sent the question is actually right, really. Yeah, I think the problem is that the panel consists of relatively senior scientists who are managers. So I always kind of, is it realistic? Will this work really? Yeah, and it's very difficult to put that thought aside. Yeah, and I do remember at the end of the process we always have a discussion. So what did we do right or wrong? And we always think, well, did we really found any risky proposals? Yeah, and the answer is kind of no. And we think we need to do more risky proposals. And next 2 years later, we meet again, and it's the same thing, really. Yeah. So reality is that it really has kind of, you have to convince a panel that this is going to work, really. Yeah.
Yes. So it's like a follow-up question, is it advisable to have some preliminary results, preprints, or published papers on the proposed topic, or it could be, proposal without these as well? So what would you suggest, to have something or to go without anything? Because it's supposed to be, the trick is ERC requires super new novel ideas. So this is a very challenging question for applicants. So what would you suggest?
Yes, but these the already published results are, as it were, stepping stones towards the proposal. So I think it's very important to have some stepping stones also to see if the PI is really up to the job to lead this project. So I to have some preliminary work.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think there have been proposals which have been funded without much preliminary data, but don't bet on that. If there's one panel member which doesn't like the proposal, they will say, well, it doesn't have preliminary data. Yeah? So it's better to show that you actually have something, that you have some sort of feasibility study already carried out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you. And, talking about the PI, the excellence of PIs, so what do you think key qualities for applicants are in terms of portfolio, and what defines excellence of applicants?
Yes, I think the PI has to have enthusiasm for the project. Enthusiasm must be everywhere in the proposal. He or she has to be a very good organizer, and also in the CV there should be evidence of organizing events, congresses, etc., etc. So I think it's PI needs to have also excellence. The project is excellent, but also the PI needs to give confidence that he or she is able to lead this project to a good end.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree that it's inevitable that the panel members will look at the publication record. Not having, I think we already had this in the previous session. You don't have to have a nature and science papers, really, yeah. But you still somehow have to convince that what's your contribution to science so far for that level. Really, yeah? The ERC grant is supposed to take you a step up, next step. Yeah, maybe you can take 2 steps, but if you are kind of proposing something 5 steps up, yeah, from what you've done before, yeah, that will be viewed with a suspicion. So match your proposal to your CV in a way, and of course prevent CV in a well-structured way, as I think that some of the ERC recipients already, I think, explained it very well. Yeah. So.
Thank you very much. And talking about the team composition and explanation and proposal, we received a question of how detailed should the team's explanation or justification should be, how much do they supposed to tell you about their team composition and proposal to, for
yes,
team.
I think the composition of the team is very important. There should be a good mixture of PhD students, postdocs, and supporting technical staff. And the role and the commitment of the PI is also very important. We have seen that a minimum of 40% of his or her time is necessary, and but if it's 60 or 70%, it's already a stronger point for going through the next stage. So we have to be sure that the PI gives enough time to the project and works together, is able to work together with the team.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the PI's commitment, in my opinion, is the most important thing. Yeah, and then describing what exactly who will do what, it can backfire because if you have to be very convinced that you actually know what you are. You can't tell what will happen in 3 years necessarily. Yeah.
We don't have a crystal ball.
Yeah. Okay, and for example, talking about the results of the project, so how much of them do you want to see proposed, in proposal, and explained, like, from results?
They are in the future, and as I said before, we don't have a crystal ball, but we have an evaluation of the feasibility of the project. We used to have the high risk, high gain factor. It's not a factor anymore, but I think the applicant, the PI, has to be clear about the risks involved and the mitigation of these risks, and it should be part of the application.
Yeah, I think it was very well said. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And let's move, to the fundamental as applied to research. And it's very interesting indeed for us to know, do ERC panels tend to prefer more fundamental science project or applied ones? Because we know that we can propose like both of options, fundamental and also applied. So what do you think on this, from your experience?
I think it's a very good part of a good proposal when the scientific part will have effects also on society. So there will be an application in society coming from the proposal itself. So it should be, there should be a good fundamental scientific background, but it's when it has applications in society, it's a strong point.
It's an add-on. I think, at least in my experience in life sciences, most of the panel are really mostly fundamental scientists, although there are also some practicing medics sometimes I've seen. Yeah, and there's time to time this comes up that the strong point of that proposal is because it actually will have a real life application. Yeah, so if you have that, that's a strong point. But the fundamental science should also be solid. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And indeed, it is interesting to hear your opinion on AI application, while preparing ERC proposals, so do you encounter cases where PIs declare using Gene AI in their applications? And what is your view on these applications? Don't you have a negative bias?
I haven't encountered AI during my time in the ERC. I have no experience.
I have to say, my last panel was something like 2.5 years ago, and that was before the big boom of AI. So we virtually, this never came up really during these times. Probably it has changed now, yeah, but I can't comment on it.
But I'm afraid AI can write a very good proposal.
Okay, but yeah. And for example, talking about common mistakes and which you remember from your evaluated proposals, from your perspective, what are the most frequent mistakes you see in ERC proposals?
Looking at the PIs, I think on the one side we have, please don't be arrogant. Don't be over-ambitious. You must be self-confident, of course, and you must be very sure of your value as a researcher. But you have to be team leader and a team player. And on the other side, there's also the danger that you have a too narrow a view. Very specialistic investigation with an outcome, a database, which will be useful for other researchers in the field. It's not a good proposal for the ERC. It always goes beyond the database. It goes beyond creating a corpus. So I think these are mistakes I've seen in the ERC proposals. Go beyond the database.
Yeah, in a way, I would have to repeat this. So maybe the only thing what I can add, which I already said. So in at least in life sciences, hypothesis-driven research is what is most likely to give you the the grant really, and don't. And the biggest mistake is that say my hypothesis is this and this, and then you think, can this hypothesis be refuted in principle? Can it be tested? Yeah, and it is so vague. There's no way that will fail the proposal. Yeah, the other is about this kind of right balance between kind of confident, not being arrogant, really. Yeah, and take, this is a ABC of the scientific writing. Nothing becomes interesting because you label it. It's interesting. Yeah. Nothing becomes important because you label it. Yeah. You describe what you do, and then the reviewers themselves will be interesting or it will be important. Yeah.
Yeah. So if an applicant writes in their proposal that it is interesting, it is great, do you believe in this?
Yeah.
Okay, and we also during registration received one question regarding keywords. Sometimes applicants include such words like Green Deal, innovation, general equality, groundbreaking, research. So are ERC evaluators really influenced by such keywords, and to what extent?
Well, I think these magic words or buzzwords are often used in proposals to give more spice to the proposal, and I think they can be used when a proposal could have a certain impact on modern society. Modern society uses modern words, and if you use them, make sure that you explain very thoroughly how they fit in your proposal. Just don't put them in just for to make an impression, but you have to explain why these words are used, like the Green Deal or innovation, etc., etc.
Yeah. No, I agree. Don't overuse these terms. There's nothing wrong using them rightly. I think regarding the gender balance, it's what actually can help is that you articulate clearly that the institution in which you are going to work has this kind of gender balance hiring policy.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And now we have just a few minutes left for our discussion. So one of the final questions indeed would be, what advice would you give to our applicants who are now in a preparation or maybe thinking about ERC, ERC calls, and proposal?
Well, I think the best advice is always keep excellence in mind. Excellence is the main, the most important buzzword in the ERC world, and be creative. Try to find new ways to look at old material. Be very clear about the importance and the timely aspects of the proposal. Compose excellent research team with an impressive board of advisors. But look for the unexpected. This is also very important. When you see something unexpected, then it goes into your head in the evaluation committee. So, these are some thoughts.
Yeah, so I think it was already said in the first part, start writing early.
Yeah.
At least a year in ahead. At least a year. These proposals which are written in the last moment, they don't have chance. Unless you are kind of, you can be lucky, of course. I know for senior grants, I know some people who have written in 1 week, but that's not a norm, yeah. And actually, writing helps also to crystallize this idea, to crystallize these 5 sentences. Sometimes you start with a vague idea and you start writing, and if you have enough time, actually, in the end of that year, you will have these 5 very clear sentences and a very clear idea.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And we have 3 approaching questions, in our Slido. So one of those would be, how much can an interview change the evaluation outcome? And how much influence can the applicant's personal qualities like English language skills have?
Yes, the interview is very important. I have read excellent proposals, and the interview was, really, really bad. And so that something was there. Maybe the proposal was written by AI, and the PI didn't understand his or her own proposal. But it's very important. And of course, my English is not perfect, and people from English-speaking countries they have an advantage. But try to prepare yourself in this aspect.
Yeah, I think it's important to have several. You need to have these dry runs or whatever you call them, really, with your colleagues, and not just one. You need to time your presentation perfectly to the minute. Yeah, it can be 1 minute short, but it should not be 1 minute long, really. Yeah.
Yeah.
And panel will be sympathetic from non-native English speakers. That I don't think will be a huge problem. But you need to show that you made an effort. Yeah, it is one of these presentations where, at least for the first part, for the first few minutes, you almost learn by heart what you're going to say. Then later maybe you can improvise. Yeah, but you should not particularly for non-English speakers, if you can't, sometimes you get lost during these first 2 minutes and you can't pick it up. Yeah, and the only way I know, because I'm also not a native English speaker, and I've gone through quite a lot of these evaluation panels at EMBL, and the trick what you do is that you learn the first 5 minutes by heart, really. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So indeed, panel members are all also humans, and not all of them are nature, not native language English is, so you don't have to be scared of this, indeed, but it is really, how to say, important to do so, practice and prepare for an interview as much as you can, and just prepare list of questions which you could expect, indeed, and try to answer those. Yes, and another question would be about, work packages. So from your experience, as much as you remember, what is the optimal work package numbers and their rates and outputs, publications in case of the engineering field? I'm very sorry that we today don't have representatives from P domain, but maybe we can have some answers from LS and SH panels, so it's about work package numbers, rates and outputs.
Yes, in my experience, there must not be too many work packages. I've seen proposals with 10 or 12 work packages. It's very, very unclear what one team is doing and what another one is doing. So it has to be workable, 6, 7 at the most, I think. The timeline must be very clear. There must be clarity about the research team, who's doing what. The commitment of the PI is very important for the whole project, and overseeing these work packages, but not too many, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. I would say 3 to 5, really. Yeah, so there's no need. Yeah, there's no need to have more than 3, but maybe sometimes it naturally comes, and the outcomes, I think, should be something you can explain what it is. It doesn't matter. I don't think that ERC is particularly looking for publications. It has to be real results which can be explained and touched, yes.
Yeah, so the clarity is very important, and probably based on this, how many work packages you can clearly explain your idea and how you're going to do this. So this is important to consider in a preparation. And one of the final questions, because it's about the time to finish, is I don't know if you have an experience on this, but what are the big points of the Eastern European researchers in comparison to Western European researchers, and what are the differences between their proposals?
I have seen more traditional proposals from the eastern part of Europe than from the western part of Europe, and compiling data, compiling material, working in a corpus, towards a corpus of inscriptions or books or ceramic products, etc., creating this database. It's very important work, but for a successful ERC proposal, you have to go beyond the database, and so it's try to look at very successful ERC applications and try to learn from these applications. But it was a real pleasure to talk to the 2 colleagues who were so very happy with their success.
Okay, and Professor Braz?
Yeah, I have, you know, most of the proposals come from the Western European countries, which is a shame. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
it's a
but there
shame.
have been, I've seen good proposals from Eastern Europe, and I'm not sure there is a kind of a systematic difference. Yeah, so. I think nowadays we have quite a lot of people from Eastern Europe or the Baltic countries who have spent time abroad and they have kind of experience in the teams, yeah, in the Western Europe, and they of course will have advantage, yeah. Maybe this is slightly different topic, but in the CV, if you have spent all your time only in one lab or one country, that works against you. Of course, this should not be exaggerated. There's an example of Fred Sanger, who won 2 Nobel Prizes and never been outside the same lab, yeah, in Cambridge, really. I think he has been for 3 months in Sweden, yeah. And so this example is sometimes brought up, yeah, against this. But generally it works in your favor, but that you have been in a couple of places, really, and seen the world, really. And that's what Eastern Europeans sometimes in the past was lacking, but maybe this is changing now.
Yes. I think that we are doing great, how to say, work, you know, in our countries by sharing our experiences, which will hopefully bring some more ERC grantees in our country. So to finalize our discussion, I would like to say a big thanks from our national NCPs, from our research communities, for sharing your valuable experience from the panels, you know, and trips, and giving some suggestions, you know, which you know should be considered indeed by our applicants. So thank you very much, Professor Ruud Halbesma, for being here with us today, and Professor Alvis Brasma.
My pleasure.
So, thank you. And we have several minutes, you know, just few minutes to finish our event. And I just see one question regarding starting grant and consolidated grant eligibility starting from 2027. And the question is about, are there objective criteria to direct researchers toward the right choice of them? So indeed, from what we know, so that starting grant will be starting from 5 years after PhD defense to 15 years after PhD, and consolidator grants, you will be able to apply I'm sorry, like 0 for starting 0 to 5, and consolidator 5 to 15. And you know, this overlapping period is for you to decide, you know, how much mature you are as a PI to implement your project, and how mature is your project. Is it worth to better go to a starting grant, you know, or to a consolidator? So it's up to you. And you know, because our scientific communities are very diverse, you know, and so this is for you to know. And just remember that that there is only one criteria in ERC, which is excellence. So I don't know if we have some more questions. Maybe Kristen or Daxa would like to add something, you know.
I can take the more boring and no offense meant to the people who ask these questions, but the questions that we NCPs answer frequently, the technical ones. And let me just come back very quickly to some of these questions in Slido. So regarding tuition fees for PhD students, these cannot be budgeted for the ERC grant, but remuneration salaries of the PhD candidates working on the project, of course, can be budgeted here. The salary levels, if you have team members in different countries, then of course, yes, you budget for their salaries based on the salary levels and their commitment, the salary levels in their institutions, and the commitment that they will, how much work they will do in your project. And in case your PhD certificate does not provide a defense date, you actually need to get this confirmation document from the university, because you will need to prove your eligibility. And universities nowadays are quite used to giving out these documents, because it is a blanket requirement, and universities know that the ERC demands this. So if you approach your university, they will issue this kind of certificate in addition to your normal PhD certificate. The generative AI that was already very briefly discussed in this in the second part, I will quote the president of ERC, Maria Leptin, who said in a provocative way that if generative AI proposes some great research, then we all win. Why not? Why not carry out a research that is proposed by a generative AI? But the answer, of course, was provocative, and it still gives a flavor of what the ERC considers, that you can use generative AI, but of course, full responsibility of what you are proposing and what you're planning to do remains with you. And this is actually the final question. And I think we have answered everything that was submitted via Slido.
Okay, so thank you, Kristen, for answering these technical questions, which are also important. And I would like to remind everyone, especially those who are preparing, that even if you have a question, please contact us, your national contact points. So with this, I would like to thank you very much for all of you for being here and for joining today's Baltic information session for Consolidator Grants. And we are very grateful to our ERC grantees, Professor Inta Nirina and Professor Kaspar Valgapea, for sharing their inspiring experiences, and to our, of course, ERC panel members, so Professor Arvis Brasma and Professor Ruud Binnert Halbersma, for offering such a valuable insights into the evaluation process. So, today's discussion just reminded us that excellence has no borders, and that researchers from Baltic states can and do succeed in the highest European level. So on behalf of all three of us, your national NCPs, thank you once again for being with us today. And we wish you very to be successful in your future research and ERC applications. So thank you and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.